Hello, everyone. Uh, Apologies, we've had a bit of confusion here. The individual set to moderate somehow missed that, or we got lost. I stepped in to moderate, and then I realized I was supposed to press a button that said start the broadcast. So, my sincere apologies. We're all set to go. Let me welcome Sanhong Lee and Deng Hai Dong from Alibaba, who's going to talk about Eclipse Jifa. I'll turn it over to them. Take over, guys.
Thank you. Okay, hello everyone. Good morning or good evening, whenever you are in the world. This is Sanhong from Alibaba Java team, and together with my colleague Deng Hui, we are very pleased to be here to talk about Eclipse Java project. This project is tooling project for troubleshooting Java application in the cloud. This is the agenda for my talk. Actually, it has 4 parts. The first part is about project background. That's why we would like to talk the motivation, why would you like to create this project. The second part is about solution. It means I would like to go through the detailed implementation about Eclipse Jifa and talk about the architecture and how we can implement Eclipse Jifa for our purpose. The third part is for demo. I just is very interesting part. I just invite my colleague Deng Hui to give you guys some live demo, and I think we have 3 important usage for live demo. You can get information for demo. You know how can you build Jifa in your enterprise, and how can deploy and how can use Jifa for your purpose. The last part is about the summary. Okay, let's go. Before discussing details about the Eclipse Jifa project, let's talk about the background. This chart on this slide just describes the overview about Java diagnostics tools we use today. The major components has been you can just look at this chart, and actually this chart just lists the major components used implemented in Java virtual machine, and you can see it including garbage collector, bytecode interpreter, and just-in-time compiler and thread. And actually, Java virtual machine is using different type of memory for different purpose. For example, it just use Java heap and memory space for object management. And the code case has been used by just-in-time compiler for storing native code. The stack is a typical region of memory for running threads. Um, Actually, JDK just provides different very rich tools for Java developers for different problem diagnostic. For example, I think most of you have known you can use Jmap for heap dump issue, and you can use JStack for thread dump issue, and you can relying on Werber's GC log for bad GC performance tuning. I think all of these 3 things are basic stuff which should be covered by Eclipse Jifa project. We will discuss some of them later in this talk. Internally, actually, we already extend this diagnostic tools for our internal Java developers. For example, for metadata space dump and the code case dump. These 2 tools are very useful for our internal developers. For example, they can use meta space dump and do analysis, and the tool can tell developers which class loader has consumed most of the meta space size. In long term, actually, we intend to open source all these tools to the public domain. Okay, let's talk about the first change. The first change is uh, when you do heap dump analysis in cloud, you can just look at this picture. The typical case is when your application, which is running in the data center in cloud, has the out of memory error here, and generally you just need to transfer this heap dump from cloud to your local. Then you can just you can open Eclipse MET for analysis. The problem with this practice is not productivity. It means you need to transfer heap dump over network. It will become worse if the network is slow. And another change is because the analysis is happened at your local desktop. If you want to analyze the large heap, it means you need a much large memory on your desktop for your analysis. I think is the second change. Okay, let's talk about the GC log. I think GC performance is one of crucial JVM metrics, and I think for most of Java developers, maybe you can use GC Viewer for GC log. GC Viewer is a free open source tool for visualizing the output of GC log. GC Viewer can provide developers some basic information, including memory allocation, GC throughput, and something like. But in our case, in most of our case, and actually our developers are usually relying on GC log for for detecting and resolving GC related problems. You can just look at this picture, and this picture is I just had this picture from CMS GC log. You can see from this picture, you can see the CMS remark is
Okay.
word.
Can I just? I'm going to interrupt you for a moment. I'm reading comments and I'm seeing that people aren't seeing the screen. So I want to know: should I be looking at your screen or at your partner's screen? Ah, there we go.
Is it correct?
So now we're looking at challenge number 2. GC log is hard to
Yes.
read. Okay,
Yes.
there we go. So some people, the slides weren't changing, so they were
Okay.
confused. Okay, I'll get out of here. You're back to it.
Thanks. Let's continue. And this is picture. This is snippet from CMS log. You can just look at this log, and you can say CMS remark is a stop word pause, and it just takes around 2 seconds to complete. So for this, it's a much longer pause, so we need to resolve it. Actually, it's very daunting to detect and resolve this issue by just reading GC log. So that's the important motivation. We would like to create an open source free tool for visualizing the GC log, and we can by analyzing the GC log, we can just give our developers some useful recommendation. Okay, let's move on to the next slide. Okay, let's come to the Eclipse Jifa project itself. The full name of Jifa is Java Issue Finder Assistant, and the Jifa project is designed as a web platform. The goal of this project is for troubleshooting Java application in the cloud. Let's go through the key feature roadmap implemented in Eclipse Jifa so far. In March 2020, this project has been open sourced by Alibaba under Eclipse Foundation. At the initial, we just contributed the initial implementation with heap analysis support. In the succeeding development, Alibaba just co-work with the community, and we just developed a master work pattern and Kubernetes scheduling feature. All these features are used for elastic deployment support. And just in this month, we hope by end of this month, and we hope the GC log analysis and the thread dump analysis could be fully open sourced in Eclipse Jifa. So far, we have guys from Netflix, Kuaishou, and Alibaba Cloud working on this project, and it is in incubation phase. The next step is we would like to discuss with Eclipse community for graduating to mature phase.
So I'm going to jump in here again. We're having, and I apologize to our audience, we're still having some technical difficulties. So Sanhong, when I look at your screen, you seem to be in PowerPoint edit mode instead of slideshow mode. So people are confused with the bar on the right. So I don't know if you want to go into slide mode. And also the slides weren't changing.
So how can I do that?
Usually on the bottom right-hand side, there's a picture of what looks like a tiny icon of a projection screen.
Uh,
Right next to the size slider.
Slider, let me check. On the border, in the border?
Bottom, yeah, bottom border on the right.
Right. I just can see store screen and share. Is something like slides.
What we all see is the basic PowerPoint edit mode. So you want to
Okay.
go to a slideshow. And so again,
Slide.
there's a slider. I see it says 32%. And just to the left of it, there's a little picture of a screen. That's what you should click on.
Uh,
Okay. It do you have a second monitor?
no,
Okay.
only one monitor.
So try that
Uh,
again because it just went black.
maybe we can. Maybe I can stop the sharing and maybe I can share my screen. Actually, I just use the presentation mode for my talk. I'm not sure what's problem there.
Yeah, I think you should share your screen.
Okay.
I thought you were sharing your screen or you were sharing the window.
Let me share
Okay.
screen.
So still there's just the three of us now. Oh, your screen is back.
Then is okay.
There we go. Now it's full screen.
Okay,
Yeah,
sorry.
okay for me. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, sorry. So okay, so we can go ahead.
Yes, continue on.
Okay, sorry. Yeah. Uh. Okay. Let's focus on this slide. Let's continue. And this slide is talking about our key feature roadmap in Eclipse Jifa. Just in March 2020, the project has been open sourced by Alibaba under Eclipse Foundation. The initial implementation is for tape analysis support. Just in succeeding development, we have co-work with the community. We have add master work pattern and Kubernetes scheduling features, which are used for elastic deployment support. And in this month, we hope by end of this month, we can fully open source GC log analysis and thread dump analysis in this project. We have some guys from Netflix, Kuaishou, and Alibaba who are working on this project. This project is currently in incubation phase. The next step, we would like to discuss with Eclipse community for moving forward to module phase. Okay. Okay, let's move to the next part. I would discuss the detailed implementation about this project. Okay, as I have mentioned earlier, the Jifa project is a web application which are front-end and back-end separation architecture. The back-end just use the Word.x. Word.x is an open source project under same Eclipse Foundation. It's event-driven application framework. And the front end of Eclipse Jifa is using Vue. I just put the links here. If anybody is interested in this technology, you can follow link to get more details. And I think the analysis engine is a core part of Eclipse Jifa project. So far, the analysis engine is used for services for troubleshooting. Currently, we have a heap dump analysis, which is implemented based on Eclipse MAT technology. The second thing is GC log analyzer, and I would discuss them in detail later. And you can just look at this chart and the advantage of using Eclipse Jifa is you can just deploy Jifa server in the same in the cloud in the same network as your application. Generally, you can just on your DevOps platform, you can just trigger JMap command to trigger to generate a heap dump indicated in step 2. After that, the heap dump could be transferred to Eclipse Jifa server automatically, supported by your DevOps platform. And then the heap dump analysis could be done on Jifa server. Finally, in step 5, any user can see the final results by using browser on any machine. This is the whole practice. Actually, this practice is also used in Alibaba production. This is the more details about our solution. From architecture perspective, the server, the Jifa server consists of 2 kinds of servers. You can just look at this picture. And the first kind of server is master. The master is used to route the user request. Just route the user request from browser to the real worker. This is the first priority. The master is also responsible for scheduling new worker from the worker pool. I think this is something we would discuss later. And for example, if you have new request for heap dump analysis, and if the master found no available worker, and then it will launch new worker from pre-configured worker pool. And then you can just this new worker could be used for serving your new request. And the second kind of server in Jifa is the worker. The worker is used for do real analysis work. Okay. Yeah, let's talk about the details about worker scheduling. And I think most of you have known Kubernetes. Kubernetes is an open source system which has built excellent capacity for automating deployment and scaling. And it also provides Java library for operating Kubernetes cluster management capacity. Actually, in Jifa, we just by relying on this Java API, we just implement Kubernetes scheduling logic in Jifa master. You can just look at this picture. This chart just illustrates our concept. It means the worker, it means pod. A pod could be created on demand per request. I also put the details implementation link here. If you are interested in them, then you can follow link to get more details. Okay. How can you use Jifa to upload your file? Actually, you have file choices in here, and the first way is you can upload your file from your local desktop or your local environment. And the second way is you can just leverage SCP protocol. You can copy the file from a remote host, or you can just give URL. This URL is pointed to one your file, which is specified in one location in the internet. And additionally, the Eclipse Jifa also supports the file transferring from either from Alibaba OSS or from AWS S3. This picture I just get from this picture is an example picture I get from Eclipse Jifa server. For example, if you want to add Eclipse dump to Jifa server, you can either upload from local or use SCP URL, OSS, or S3. Okay, when you want to use Eclipse Jifa in your enterprise, actually you have different choice to deploy. The first model is we called worker-only model. It's a very simple way to get started with Jifa, and you can just deploy Jifa as a worker-only, just as a worker server, then no any scheduling support. And the second model is we call master and worker model. It means you can use a master for scheduling new worker from pre-configured work pool. And the last model is we call the Kubernetes model. If your enterprise environment is Kubernetes based, I suggest you can use Kubernetes model. Then you can leverage Kubernetes to schedule new worker for your for serving new requests. Here's a guide, detailed guide. You can go to our GitHub for more details. This is a example report for heap analysis in Eclipse Jifa. You can just look at this picture on the left bar. Eclipse Jifa just provide different views per report. On the right side of this picture, you can see it just provides TC root details for your analysis. Here you can see there are 4 TC root resources. The first is unreachable, the second is system class, and GN global and thread. And when you click thread, then you will get the chain of objects which keep alive and traced from this thread TC root. I think the key point here is Eclipse Jifa just follows the same guide from Eclipse MAT. That means you can use the heap analysis provided by Jifa by just following the way you use Eclipse MAT. I just put a link to the Eclipse MAT guide. You can follow it and get more details how to use Eclipse MAT, how to use Eclipse MAT for heap dump analysis. This is the second part. This is the troubleshooting service implemented in Eclipse Jifa, GC log analyzer, which has been open sourced as a part of Eclipse Jifa. His link. We also have implementation details here. You can follow it to get more details. So far, this analyzer just support serial GC, parallel GC, CMS, G1, and ZGC. We only support the current version only support Java 8 and Java 11. Java 17 is under development. The interesting feature is it just provides some diagnostics recommendation for Java developers after analyzing the GC log. Here's the example for ZGC. For example, it just found in your GC log there are too many allocation stores. Then it just give you some useful suggestion. For example, you can just add a concurrent GC thread count, or you can just enlarge your heap size, or you can just adjust some additional JVM parameters for better performance. The other features has been included in GC log analyze in active graphics, in active graphs, key performance indicators, including object allocation rate, object promotion rate, something like, and it also provides some statistics information for your GC pods. Yeah, this is the slide give you guys some brief introduction about how we can use Jifa at Alibaba. Alibaba use Java at very massive scale. We have more than million JVM instance in our data center in cloud. And actually, generally speaking, almost our online applications are written in Java with about billion lines of code. And we have a different Java application for big data, for example, Apache Flink, Apache Spark, and also for middleware, for example, Apache RocketMQ, Apache Double, and internally, our internal diagnostics platform is implemented based on Eclipse Jifa. Our developers from Taobao, Tmall, and the group and the channel are relying on the heap dump analysis provided by Jifa for heap dump related issue diagnostic. And the Jifa also has been implemented as part of our ARMS product for our Alibaba Cloud users. There's a link for details. Okay, and I think I will go to the third part about demo. I would invite my colleague for a live demo. So Denghui.
Okay.
So I need to stop.
So can you see my screen?
So there we go. We had it for a moment.
Okay. So thanks, Sanhong. And next, I will give some demos of Jifa. There are three parts of this demo. First is how to build Jifa. Here I have prepared an environment for today's demo, and in this environment, all of the dependencies have been installed, like JDK 11. And npm for front end, and some other deploy tools like Docker. As you can see, Jifa uses Gradle as the project management tool. We know that Maven are probably more familiar to most Java developers. The main reason we chose Gradle is for flexibility, and there is a file located in the root directory. In this file, there are some tasks for building Jifa. As you can see, there are two tasks for building Jifa: build Jifa and build worker. Build Jifa will build all components of Jifa, and the build worker will only build the worker and the front end only. I will use Build Jifa in this demo. The front end is building. Okay, build is finished. You can see it didn't take too long. But if it is the first build, some extra time will be needed to download the dependencies. Okay, the build result will be located in artifacts directory. And you can see there are 3 zip files for front end, master, and worker. And based on this zip files, and we can deploy Jifa now. Next, I will demonstrate how to deploy Jifa. As the Sanhong introduced, the backend of Jifa consists of 2 modules, worker and master. And worker can be deployed independently. I will demonstrate the deploy way of master and worker pattern. Currently, we implemented 2 patterns for master and worker pattern, the default pattern. For default pattern, I use Docker Compose to demo. Let's check. Let's check first. We can see there is already a container running. This is for the Kubernetes pattern. So let's skip it and close. So worker is let's check. We can see worker is ready, and the database is ready. Database is ready. Also, seems all components are ready. Let's check it. So worker front end, master, and database are all ready. Then we can open the browser to verify it. First, let's check the port. The port is 1889. Okay. Now you can see everything is okay, and we can try to add a field to Jiva. And analyze it. Okay. So this is the default pattern. Then let me demo the Kubernetes pattern. For this pattern, we need a Kubernetes cluster. Here, I have prepared a cluster created by Ken. Let's check. And I also started two pods. Jifa master and my circle, and in this pattern, the worker pod is dynamically scheduled. Let's check it out. I prepared 2 heap dump files for this demo. So let's check again. There is no work code, and let us analyze the first dump file. Okay, let's check. So we can see that a Jifa worker is scheduled. Yeah. Then let's analyze the second file. We can see a new worker is created. Okay. So then let's try to release the job. And we can see the worker is also released. Release the first and last job. So all works are gone. Okay. As I mentioned before, work can deploy independently. Now let's try it out. In this directory, there is a script for deploy worker independently. Run it. So independent worker is running. The port is 18102. Okay. Now I have introduced all the deployment way of Jifa. And finally, I will introduce the features provided by Jifa. The first feature is heap dump analysis. Most of our features are similar to Eclipse Mat, and we can look up the basic information of the heap dump, like object count, heap size, and also the number of objects that dominates the most memory. And we can open leak report to see where the memory leak occurred. See the detail. And we also can open dominant tree view to see the dominance between objects, and we can find the objects that have the greatest pet on memory. And this view can be grouped by other attributes like class loader, and the package. And we also have Instagram to see the memory distribution. Also, we can use thread view to see thread information, to see the thread stack trees and the locals in the stack, on the stack. And we also can execute some object query language. Oh, and we can see outgoing reference, incoming reference. Okay, the other views I will not introduce one by one. Now let's look at the Gslog analysis. I prepare a demo log for this demo. Click the button. Okay, there are 4 tabs for of Gslog analysis, and in Overview tab, we can see there are 3 problems found by analyzer. The throughput was too low, and 4 GC problems. Also, analyzer give some advice like change the GVM options. In the middle of overview, we can see the basic information, like which garbage collection algorithm we used, and the log duration, also the key size. In the bottom is some key performance indicators, like throughput, max pulse, and GC intervals. The second tab will show some graphs to help understand the Gslog. And the third tab contains the GC cost and the GC phase. And we can see there are 3 GC causes in this Gslog, and 4 GC happened 12 times. And in GC phase table, if the phase need to stop work, it will be marked. The last tab will show the detail. Will show the detail of the Gslog. We can search by GC type. Okay. Okay, that's all. That's all. Thank you. Let's back to Sanhong.
Thanks, Denghui. Can you see my screen, Denghui? Okay. I think I'm on screen, and this last part for summary. Thanks for your attention to join this talk. This is key takeaways for you guys. Yeah, Eclipse Jifa is a web application for troubleshooting Java application in the cloud. So currently it just supports heap dump analysis, and the GC log and thread dump will come soon. We hope end of this month we will open source all of them in public domain. And I just put a link here, and also if you are interested in the community project, you can join us by a Slack channel. Yes, let's for all our talk. Thanks for attention again. Yeah. We are done.
Okay, so we had one question here. I'll just show it. You should be able to see it. You have a timeline as when we can expect to have JFR support.
Yes, I think we don't have a real plan to support JFR at the current moment. But I think so far, for current plan, we just have a GC log, a thread dump, and heap dump. So maybe in the future, we don't determine the future, but I think for the future, maybe we can consider more GFR event support. For example, we did lots of GFR events. For example, tracing the compilation events. So maybe we can support it. I also mentioned we also implement metaspace and coded edge space analysis. I think in the future maybe we consider it. Yeah.
Any other questions? Well, I think that's it for now. I want to thank our speakers, Sanhong Lee, Denhu Dong, and maybe after the session they can tell me how to pronounce their names properly. And thank you all for coming. Thank you for presenting, and have a great
Thanks.
rest of the day.
Thanks. Bye bye.
Bye bye.